Hello. How's it going, everybody? The schedules are a little bit confusing here. I wasn't exactly sure what time I was talking, but I've got something new to talk about today. It's called JSR, and I think it's good to reflect on the importance of JavaScript in the world. JavaScript is not just another programming language. The web is hosting all sorts of infrastructure, right? Your bank, your metro services, the entire world is sitting on top of web technology. And because of that, I think it's pretty clear that HTML and CSS are not going to go away in the next 5 years, or even 10 years, maybe even longer than that. The world is really sitting on top of web browsers in a pretty serious way. And JavaScript is part of the standards that make up the web. Because of that, JavaScript is in some ways the default programming language. It is the default scripting language. It is the easiest way to express business logic. It's not the solution for every task. If you're building a database, don't use JavaScript. That's a bad idea, right? If you're building an operating system, like these are tasks for another language. But for kind of the everyday, let's call it business logic, JavaScript is and I think will continue to be where the focus is. And the place that we share JavaScript is in NPM. This has arguably is the most successful software repository registry in the history of computers. There are over 2 million packages hosted at NPM, and it is what makes Node what it is today. We collectively here have built this thing. I mean, Isaac specifically has built this thing, but we collectively have all uploaded packages and made this a really useful resource for moving quickly in software. But NPM is showing its age, as is Node. And publishing JavaScript packages in 2024 is difficult, right? You have these. Most people are programming these days in TypeScript. And so you have this whole problem of transpiling your TypeScript and getting DTS files out of it. You have to wrestle with export conditions. You have to figure out, navigate your way through CommonJS and ESM. Should you be most people are writing in ESM these days, but do you publish in ESM? Do you publish in CommonJS? How exactly do you do that? Do you publish in both? This is all becoming relatively difficult to understand, increasingly difficult to understand. Go to definition, for example, doesn't work in TypeScript, right? Most people are not publishing the code that they write, and so when you are linking to a package and try to examine the source code, you might get some minified JavaScript if you're unlucky. But you definitely, even if you get some nice JavaScript, it's definitely not the original TypeScript source code. NPM packages are big. You're downloading whole tarballs. And most packages have some implicit assumptions about a Node.js environment. And I don't think we really have to deal with all of this. It doesn't have to be this way. So JSR is a new module registry. I am announcing it right now and online as of this morning. Thanks. So I've got quite a bit of time here, so hopefully I'll get a chance to do a demo, and hopefully it won't break. We'll see. But JavaScript stands for JavaScript Registry. It is obviously a place where you can publish JavaScript, but it does have native TypeScript support, and you are encouraged to publish the code that you write, i.e. your TypeScript code. It is ECMAScript modules only, It is designed to work with NPM and not against it. NPM has very strong network effects, right? It's hard to do something different because like everything depends on something inside of NPM. You have too much functionality there. This is explicitly designed to work with multiple runtimes, and in 2024 we have a number of them, right? We've got Node, we've got Deno, we've got Bun, we've got Cloudflare Workers, it's time to share code and make it explicit which runtimes are for which code. And NPM, post GitHub acquisition, I think has not moved too much. And I think it's time to have some better developer experience for both publishers and for consumers. So I mentioned it works with NPM and not against it. So TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript, right? This is kind of how you should think of JSR. JSR is a superset of NPM. Packages in JSR can depend on NPM packages. It's not illegal in any way to use NPM packages. It's just an overlay on top of that where you can publish TypeScript first code, ESM first code. So just a bit about why here. NPM was built a long time ago, 14 years ago now. And JavaScript is very different today. TypeScript and ESM are the new standard, and we think that a modern registry should be designed for those things. And I think it is well past the time that we move beyond CommonJS. NPM packages, it's hard to distribute code on NPM. It requires the authors of the package to do so much work. You have to figure out all of this transpilation nonsense. You have to figure out the ESM, the ECMAScript modules in CommonJS situation. You don't get documentation, which is pretty substandard for the world's most popular programming language. If you are publishing code in Rust or Go or essentially any other programming language, you get auto-generated docs out of the box. As I mentioned, TypeScript is a first-class citizen, so you can publish and consume TypeScript as is, but you don't need to leave everybody behind. If your users are not using TypeScript, they can still use your module. JSR takes care of the distribution part of the equation, as the registry should. So you can, it handles kind of the doc generation, the DTS files, and to a large extent, the cross-runtime compatibility story. So for consumers, we can do a much better job for publishing packages, but I think what everybody cares about is how easy it is to consume these things. And with JSR, we believe we've improved the situation quite a bit with auto-generated documentation, kind of a package scoring system to encourage people to use best practices, runtime compatibility labels to be able to tell your users pretty clearly which runtime this software is for. And because you're publishing the code that you write, better auditability. And yeah, all of this that kind of works into existing workflows, which I can demo in a second. Publishing is great. No transpilation, no CommonJS, just published sources. It is simple and secure, and it really encourages you to write TypeScript directly. I mean, how many people have wrestled with TSC or compiler options and are a little unclear about which options they need to choose? JSR lets you know what you should do for writing TypeScript. I mentioned security, so You don't use tokens to provision, to publish JSR packages. JSR requires a GitHub login and requires kind of an explicit approval for every publishing flow, unless you're doing it from GitHub Actions, in which we can give you a really nice experience with OpenID Connect authentication, and in particular, being able to give kind of cryptographic proof via SigStore that your GitHub user has run these commands to produce this package. These things become, there's been a lot of security problems with NPM, and this is totally a solvable problem. And with these security constraints, I think we can safely put behind the days where you are installing completely untrusted, unknown software from random people on the internet and putting, real things at risk. We want this to be a moderated system. So this is something that we are building as a public service for the JavaScript community. And in order to be maximally useful, we have established certain rules for contributing and participating in JSR. So for one, all packages have to be within a scope. There's no top-level packages, no fighting over names. There's quotas for the number of scopes so that people don't just go run away and grab a bunch of names. And in particular, we have a no scope squatting policy. So if you are doing something terrible, like grabbing the @Google scope, then we'll just take it away from you. But by the way, you can't grab the @Google scope because we've also provisioned very well-known names of projects and companies and stuff and kind of set those aside. But for those that the @KLM scope, I think we probably haven't covered yet. And if somebody goes and grabs that doesn't work at KLM, well, we can correct that situation, right? It is not a hands-off, Wild West sort of situation. This is for programmers. This is a public service and is meant to be maximally useful to people. This is also open source, MIT licensed, and it is not intended for monetization. The GitHub repo is here. You can check it out. And it's really designed to be run on commodity cloud services and designed to be run very cheaply. It's essentially a CDN in front of S3, as cheap as it gets, essentially, in terms of serving packages. Yeah, it is, I have a company, Deno, and we, of course, have developed this and are paying for the bills at the moment. But we aim to somehow make this community moderated and managed over time, right? It is meant to be a public service. It's just we have to find the right people to who can kind of usher that in. And now it's time for the scary part. So let's see if this works. So number one problem: do I have internet? Yes, I do. OK. So what I'm going to do is create a normal NPM library, and yeah, let's kind of go from there. So I really get annoyed by I'm American, of course, and I really get annoyed by the date system in the US. Everybody's writing month/day, and it's just like, please, people, don't do that. And you come to Europe and they do the day/month, or I can't even remember whose are whose anymore. And gosh, I kind of think the temporal library has actually made this worse because it encourages people to kind of use location-specific date formatting, and I am strongly against that. There is one true way of formatting a date, and let's write a library to do that. So one true date, and let me go in there and open up VS Code, and let me know if this is visible enough or is not visible in particular. Let me create a package JSON file. And we want to be modern developers, right? So let's do type module to get this to be a common JS library. And let me open up the terminal, or let me create another file here. We're going to do an index.ts file, a TypeScript file. And in this file, we are going to export a function, one true date, that is going to take a date and is going to return a string. And it's going to do something. And gosh, the only library that I know that can format dates properly is this datefns project. So I'm going to actually npm install npm add datefns. That seems to be added to my package JSON. Yes, so I can import this, import datefns. And maybe I'm going to pull in this format function, format function from datefns. And this format function lets you kind of properly format dates here. So I can return format, and it takes a date and then a format string. So I'll do year, month, day, day. And OK, this is the right way to format dates, by the way. Please do not format dates any other way around me. It's like very painful. OK, so now I've got this TypeScript file, and I want to run it. Obviously, I can use Deno, of course. Like, that's great. But I'm trying to give you the Node experience, which is not great. So we have to run TSC, right? We have to like compile this to JS. So I'm just going to naively here try to run TSC. And I get a bunch of errors, as you always do. And you're like, oh, God, all right, now what? Well, it did actually output some JavaScript. But by default, this is common JS JavaScript. And we're trying to move forward. We are trying to get into the future of ESM. And you can actually achieve this by doing module node next with TSC. And then suddenly, TSC has properly type stripped my code, and I have normal ESM JavaScript. And just to make sure this is working properly, let me start up Node and import /index.js. And let me await it, a little dynamic await. It seems to have worked. Underscore one true date and new date. OK. Seems to have worked. It is March 1st. OK. So this is kind of what you would need to go in the past to publish to NPM. You would need to set up some sort of build process, and then you publish those .js files. And you probably don't want to do it as just ESM, because then nobody's going to be able to use them. Or maybe, who knows? You probably also need common JS. It's going to be a big kerfuffle, and you're going to spend like a day doing this. And I'm going to just remove this index.js because we don't need that crap. We are going to publish this to JSR. So let me open up JSR.io. And yeah, this is the scary part of the demo, because this is literally a live demo. And let me go to publish a package here. So what I do first is I choose a scope. I'll choose my Rye scope, and then I can choose a package name, one true date. And I can create that package. OK, and then it gives me some instructions on how to publish this. So it says, OK, well, you got to drop this into your JSR.json, some kind of configuration about the name and version and exports. So let me do that. So I come back over here, and I'm going to add another file, JSR.json. And let me copy in this data into here. And then it says, OK, now you can run npx JSR publish. You can also do it with Deno. Much better with Deno, of course. But I'm trying to give you the poor man's view of the world. So so let me just run npx JSR publish. And I get an error. Damn it. Oh, no, that's OK, because this mod.ts is not index.ts. So let me just change that. And let me run that command again. Seems to be working. So now I have to kind of manually approve this, because I'm logged into the website with my GitHub account. So I click approve, and it's uploading the tarball. And now I have this kind of package page for my OneTrueDate package. And well, we can explore these things a little bit more. But I think what's interesting here is we got our kind of symbol export, our OneTrueDate. And if I click on that, I've got some ways to import it from different runtimes. And I've got some auto-generated documentation. It takes a date, returns a string. I'm noting that I forgot to put in some JS doc into this. So let me actually go back to this and do the proper way to format a date. And save that. And now I'm going to upload a new version of this. And this is not an API change, just a patch release. So let me bump the version there and just run this command again. Hopefully this works. OK, so now we can check out this OneTrueDate function again. And yes, now it has extracted that JS doc properly. OK, great. So let's kind of explore using this package in different ways. So now I've published my package. Let's pretend I'm a Deno user. So let me just Deno init, Deno test, and cd into my Deno test project. So this is a new. Now I'm kind of the user of this package. And Deno, if you're not familiar with it, is like Node, just much cleaner. Well, what I'm going to do here is just follow the instructions. So on the Deno tab, it has Deno add @ri/OneTrueDate. Let me copy that, and let me watch this Deno JSON file just for a second. So as I run this. It's actually inserted this imports statement into here. So Deno is pretty adamant about adhering to web standards, and this is actually an import map, and it's mapping the specifier @ri/OneTrueDate to this JSR :@ri blah 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 blah. You can essentially ignore that because in your main file, let me delete this kind of add function that the init script created. I can just write in this OneTrueDate, this import statement here. And good, the squiggly lines went away. And I'm getting an error that's never read. That's OK. So let's just try to use this. OneTrueDate, new date. Put us, oh, uh-oh. All right, and we'll do Deno run main.ts, and it's outputted the correct state, thankfully. So now I've consumed this module from Deno. Let me just hover over this. So I am getting kind of the proper JS doc here, and let me go to definition on this guy. And when I do that, I end up not in a transpile JavaScript file, but actually in the original TypeScript source code. And this is very important, right? When you're interacting with libraries, you want to see the code that you are very likely going to be debugging something in some dependency you have, and you want to get to the code that they have distributed as soon as possible. That all works with Deno. So. Of course, it works with Deno, but you maybe are not yet a Deno user, and maybe you are a Vite user, let's say. So let's do npm create Vite and do a little Vite test, right? So this will all run with Node, of course, and I'll choose vanilla, I'll choose TypeScript, I'll go into my Vite test, and let me open up VS Code again. And so now I've got my little Vite project here that's got some stuff in the package JSON. Let me, well, first of all, let me just start up the dev server and make sure this is running. So npm run dev, Vite not found, npm I, and now we wait. How are your all mornings going? Enjoying the conference? OK, all right, we're done. OK, so now we can run the dev server. And let me make sure I can get to the templated screen. Great. So now let's say that we want to use this one true date in our Vite project, right? So we go back over to JSR and we click on npm, and it gives me this little npx JSR add command. So let me copy that and paste it over. Let me start another terminal. Run this. And you might see that this package JSON got updated, right? Node does not use import maps. Node uses package JSON imports. And if I look in this node modules folder, you will see some stuff in here. You will see the one true date in the node modules folder. I'm not going to dive too deeply into that. I think what's important, though, is that we can now import this like we can any other package from npm. And let me go into the main TS file and copy in this import statement here. And I believe it's squiggly because it's never read. That's fine. So let me try to call this in the H1 here. So one true date, new date, end bracket. And let me go over to my Vite server. HMR should work. And sure enough, we have now used this function from a node project, from Vite in particular. So hopefully that gives you a sense of kind of the usability of this. It just works with your existing software, and you get a bunch of stuff for free from this. It also encourages you to be a better programmer. So this one true date, if you click this little score button here, has, I have not done a very good job writing this module. It is, it was good for a demo, but it's definitely not ready for the prime time. And what JSR does is it kind of recommends ways to improve this. Add more documentation, add a README. Best practices pushes the universe of JSR packages to be better. So thankfully that worked. So like I said, this is now open. This is at JSR.io. We've been working on this for a while now. And it is early days, and we are looking for feedback on this. If you have any, please let us know. And I would just say, we need to level up the JavaScript ecosystem, right? And my hope is that with this and maybe work built on top of it, that we can achieve that and really have a better future for the default programming language. Because the default programming language is going to be here for a while. Like I think it's going to be here indefinitely. As I said, we're interested in having community moderators, and I've got a link up here if that interests you. There's some other links here, including my email address if you have some feedback. That's all I got for you.